Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
We're back on the Nada Yada Island Confessions Show. Benny is about to tell us how he found two loves. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks to Metro, I found iPhone 12 and Apple Watch SE.
At Metro, get the perfect match of both iPhone 12 with 5G and Apple Watch SE for only $99.99. You heard that right. Both for just $99.99. Holidays with Nada Yada Yada. Only at Metro by T-Mobile.
Bring your number and ID, sign up for Metro Flex Plus, and add a watch line. Not available if you're with T-Mobile or been with Metro in the past 180 days. Limit 2 per account.
Save big with Kroger's 12 Merry Days of Deals. From December 4th through the 15th, you can clip a hot new deal each day on our app or website. And if you're a Boost member, you can save even more. So don't miss out and be sure to check our app or website every day from December 4th through the 15th to clip each day's hot new deal. It's 12 Merry Days of Deals, a holly jolly way to save for the holidays at Kroger.
Hey, all right, you're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs with me, Giles Bidder. It's where we hear from musicians and bands about what it's like being a band in 2024 in the streaming era. Well, soon to be 2025, right? But we live in this world where artists don't make much money doing something they traditionally might make a little bit on. And I'm trying to document what it's like and get some interesting stories in the meantime. And on today's episode, we hear from Hello Mary. If you're into emo, punk rock, indie, there's some kind of old school, more screamo, emo in this record. Emita Ox, it's called, the album that just came out, and it's solid. There's so many different kinds of sounds, and this record is awesome. They're in that period where they're touring loads, they're not necessarily making loads of money out on the road, and sometimes playing to not very many people, but they're playing the festivals, they're touring with some legendary acts. Hello Mary, keep an eye on this band, follow them, jam this record. I spoke with Helena, Mikaela and Stella, so here they are on 101 Part-Time Jobs. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, make sure you click subscribe. We put out 2 episodes every week with bands and artists who we think are great. We think you'll dig them too. It'd be great to have you along for the ride. All right, coming up after the jump is Hello Mary. 101 Part-Time Jobs. There's one line on Courtesy where there's that line, I tell the truth and I forgive. And I thought that requires there's a lot of work, brain work that kind of goes into making a concise line like that really hits hard. And I wrote that line down in my notes. I was like, I'll remember that. I'll tell my family that.
It's funny that you bring up that line specifically because when we were in the studio, that line was different. That line was a different lyric. And I was like, I just don't feel good about this. I need it to be different, and I don't know what it's going to be, but it has to be different. And I spent it felt like the first week that we were there where I was just like, what can this be? And I was writing down all of these different things, and I settled on that, and I feel good about it.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for compliment.
Is that stressful? You're like, okay, we've only got this much time in the studio and this is going on record. How do you deal with that sort of pressure? And how do you not let that pressure get in the way of good material?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we've dealt with that pressure in both recording processes. This record, we had a bit more time because we had a bit bigger of a budget. But there's been that pressure with every recording process. I think we were stressed, particularly with this record, because our standards were a bit, I don't want to say higher, but just with the self-titled record, we were kind of whatever, yeah, a lyric's a lyric. This is good. This is fine. Like,
Yeah.
you brought it in, we'll do it. But then this record, it was like, no, this lyric's not good enough. Like, we can't put this on. So there was lots of times where the three of us were just like spitballing lyrics, like trying to come up with things. There was times where I'd have to like be by myself in a room and just like think about things. I know Helena did the same.
Do you have fun doing that? Do you have fun like sending each other lines over text and be like, what do you think about this? Like, could this one go in that direction? I mean, because talking about lyrics and talking about art, it's one of those things I feel like it's kind of kicked out of you in school or in the workplace. Talking about art, people are supposed to think that it's like cringy or something. I think it's so rad when you can talk about art in like a meaningful kind of, sincere way.
Yeah. We have had a lot of workshopping times with lyrics specifically. Like, I remember with Knowing You, this example always comes to mind. I always remember that time where we're just like going back and forth for hours and just like trying to figure out like what really is going to be good here.
Yeah.
And I feel satisfied.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, maybe people don't say it as much as I think they should do, but playing music, is it hard? Writing music, writing lyrics, is it fucking hard? Because it seems hard.
Helena?
I think so. I think it's hard.
And it doesn't have to be some kind of like, this doesn't have to be like a boo-hoo conversation. It's almost like it's kind of comical how hard it is.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels easy, but a lot of the time it's frustrating in my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like now that it's like more of a career, and that was added pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michaela's just entering the chat.
Oh, nice.
Hi, Mikaela.
Hey.
So between the first record, which I've read, and I'm sure like a lot of people think this on every, whenever you make a new record, you think, oh, the last one was how I wanted this one to be. I imagine that's got to be a pretty regular thing. And it makes me think how when you're starting to be a band, and even after your first album, which there's so much work and time that goes into that you're kind of growing in public, and that kind of ability to sort of be like, okay, this, what we are right now, it's like almost, it's not at the level that I want us to be, that I can see us in our heads in a few years' time. So have you thought about that much? How do you reconcile that kind of thinking of always kind of wanting to, write better songs, play better live, find the better sound?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very real thing. It's a very real feeling. And I think it's exciting. It keeps things exciting, to be able to evolve and grow. And I think we have, this record that we just put out, it, came out only a couple months ago, but obviously like there's so much that goes on behind the scenes with that, writing and recording and all that. So even though it's new, it's like to us, it's been a while of that process. So we've talked about now just being really excited for the next step,
Yeah. And what is that?
Just putting aside time to write and to see what comes out.
Yeah. And it takes time. Where do you think that you found the time? As sort of young people, everything's expensive, right? It's not like our parents' generation had it different. I feel like there's a bit more time that they were able to practice and kind of be out of, socials for one, right? You're not being public about what you're doing. But where do you think you found the time, even at the end of high school, becoming like adults, where people our ages are like getting full-time jobs? It's pretty radical to say, no, I'm gonna focus on crafting my art. How do you think you've been able to kind of make that happen for yourselves?
I'm sure a lot of people would say this, and it's kind of predictable, but I feel like COVID has so much to do with it. Because Mikaela and I were in high school during COVID, so we just had like Zoom classes every day, and you didn't have to pay attention during Zoom classes or Zoom tests. So
yeah,
I feel like I was doing a lot of like writing as therapy and boredom.
Yeah. Did you get through it? How were your grades coming out of high school after COVID?
They were great. It was so easy to just like do it, like just cheat on everything. It's
Yeah.
Crazy.
I remember like waking up and just like staying in bed and like school would be happening like somewhere like right next to me, but my like camera was off and I'd be like asleep.
Yeah.
It was so easy. And yeah, like everyone got straight A's. It was awesome.
I feel like I'd probably be a lot smarter if COVID didn't happen. But not artistically.
Hey, that's the important shit.
I was gonna say too that like just I mean, COVID for sure has a lot to do with it, but also like I feel like being in high school or like having that time where you're like being supported by your family, you know, you have like you're not working a full-time job even though school takes up a lot of time. It's like there's still like after school and there's time to like be creative, you know, which is why I think you see a lot of bands forming in that time, and then you know a lot of them end up breaking up, but sometimes you get the rare ones that push through. But that, and also like this might be like obvious or like maybe obvious to the three of us because we talk about it so much, but like none of us, like me and Helena live with our parents still, and we are lucky to like have that space. I feel like if you don't, like if I couldn't just like live with my mom right now and not pay rent, like this would be impossible, you know? So I think sadly that is part of it too, is just like having the resources, the financial resources to dedicate time to doing this.
Yeah, for sure. You start looking at bands around you, bands that you're friends with, bands that you go see, and then historically, like the punk rock bands that you know we have posters and T-shirts of. It's like there's a lot of people are from middle class backgrounds whose parents have bought them their first guitar and their first amp, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's maybe good to recognize sometimes.
Yeah, it's a thing for sure, and it's good to like I said, like I feel like the three of us talk about that a lot, just as like a practice in like gratitude and just like understanding how we're positioned and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, yeah, I look at any band our age and it's typically people who, you know, have the means to dedicate as much time to this.
Yeah. And then once you have the time, it's kind of another thing, you know, trying to be the best at it, trying to be the best yourself at it, you know, trying to be the best you. Coming out of COVID and starting to go on tour, have you been able to recognize like, oh, those are the kinds of shows or promoters or bands that we like playing with, and here is, you know, that's a world we want to stay in, and maybe because that makes you have to make decisions, right? If you get offered to play this festival where there's a giant Verizon logo behind you.
That's a good question. I feel like we've still only been touring for just a little bit, just because of school and stuff, that it's hard to say right now. But I also think that like doing different things, they all give you something different. Like touring with people your own age is awesome. Touring with like older bands is awesome. I don't know about this whole Verizon logo business. Maybe you would have to talk about it. But yeah, doing DIY stuff, we're starting to appreciate more and more because that's how we started. And then I think we sort of were like, oh, like we don't need to do that anymore. The sound is so bad and whatever. But it's just so fun and nothing beats that vibe, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's funny that you ask about that because we really have been like talking a lot more about, like Mikaela saying, like just coming back around to like, you know, how we came up and like just the fun of playing shows, which is a lot to do with like the community that you're in, right? And
for sure.
We were just touring with this band Bleary Eyed, and they're kind of like the first like long tour that we've done with a band that's our age. And obviously we love like, you know, touring with people who are more established and like not quite the Verizon logo thing you're talking about, but like this more like industry thing. That has its perks for sure, but it's also just like really beautiful and awesome to be, you know, in it with the people, like coming up with people and like being a little more DIY about it, you know?
101, 101, part-time jobs, 101, 101, 101, part-time jobs. Talking about part-time jobs and putting money or putting everything into playing music. Everyone has a different kind of attitude or framing towards it. Everyone's got different upbringings of how their parents or their family, whoever brought them up, taught them about work. What were your upbringings in terms of like, okay, boot out the door as soon as you're 16, like go get a fucking job? What were your kind of upbringings like that? And now with a bit of reflection, you know, how did you grow up like framing creative projects as well as sort of work you don't want to do for the money?
Yeah, I feel like we've all had like somewhat different, like pretty like different experiences with this. My parents own a gift shop in New York. And that's been like that's like the family biz and has been for, you know, my whole life.
Yeah. What kind of gift shop? Is it like knickknacks with the Statue of Liberty on?
It's not what you think of when you think of like the classic New York gift shop. It's not like one that would be in Times Square. But it has like very similar kinds of things, like, you know, bags, books, knickknacks, toys, candy, whatever. It's cool. You should check it out. Exit 9 is what it's called. But so that's how, you know, my family supported me growing up. And then, but also like my mom is a musician and my dad is like a creative person. So they've both always like valued that and been really supportive of me being able to like do music and whatever, pursue my dreams or whatever. But yeah, it's been kind of nice because I've always had sort of like a built-in job there.
Yeah. You'd have to work pretty hard to get fired from that.
Yeah, right. No, it's actually really like works out perfectly. But that's what I do when I'm not touring. And I've been working there on and off since I was like 13, 14. So
yeah, dream scenario.
My parents were always really supportive of whatever I wanted to do. I'm in school right now.
Like college?
Yeah.
What are you studying?
I'm a computer science major.
Yeah, nice.
So pretty diff.
Yeah.
And I'm having trouble answering this question. My parents were really, really supportive, and they sent me to school, and I'm so thankful that I get to do two things I love.
Yeah, fuck yeah. What are you doing your computer science major in? Is that like website building?
Some people do that. I'm not really doing that. I'm like right now working on a big project about AI and music.
And you can do that from tour?
Yeah, I've been able to do a lot of stuff remotely, which is cool because you basically just need your laptop. And yeah, a lot of work in the van, a lot of hours in that van.
And if you're doing a project on AI and music, you can see Hello Mary's numbers on Spotify rocket one day to the next.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm attacking the Spotify algorithms. JK, whatever.
Are you interested in that shit? Where does it come from? Were you like a message board kid?
No, I like I don't know. I just did a lot of like coding after school programs with like drag and drop languages, and that was like fun and like just like little problem solving stuff.
That's fun, and I guess it's like this the future, isn't it? I mean,
I know.
Hopefully you can get a job.
Probably not, but.
How about you, Helena?
My parents are also really supportive of me. I remember in like freshman year of high school when Hello Mary started, I was convinced that we would be able to like drop out of high school and just like be touring full time. Like Mikaela and I would text about it all the time. So my parents have always just been like, if this is really what you want to do, you just have to like give it your all, basically. Otherwise, like you need to figure something else out.
It's funny with that like teenage brain being like, yeah, we're just gonna quit school at 15 and go on tour forever.
Yeah, I really thought, and then I ended up going to college for a year because Mikaela was going to college. But I was like, what the fuck? Why am I doing this? Like,
but you need that. Like, if you hadn't have thought that, then you know maybe you wouldn't have been so like invested in the project. Do you know what I mean? Like almost having those kind of absolute wild thoughts like pushes you along.
Yeah, totally. And I worked at this like PR firm, this tiny PR firm, just doing like the dirty work, like packing up stuff and sending it out and doing like spreadsheets. But it feels really awkward every time I go in because I'll have been gone for like a month and then I'm in for like a week. So I kind of just like, I just feel bad and I've stopped asking for work from them because it's just, they're always like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, why are you back?
Yeah. It seems like there's that middle ground of, being in a band and then come back and working these bits, but then sort of being, like you say, maybe a little bit embarrassed or almost like ashamed of this thing that's totally fucking rad.
Yeah, totally.
It's a funny mix. Do you kind of find yourself like going in and out of those feelings of being like, okay, what we're doing is awesome, and then some days you're like, oh, I feel like a loser.
Yes, big time.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah, and I'm lucky that we're all lucky that we're so young, but it's like I'm 20. I can't really shit on myself that hard just for that sole reason. But, by the time I'm 26, 27, I'm probably going to be a little more. Yeah, people don't get it. People don't get it.
Even when you're 27 or 28, I lost what I thought was like my proper first full-time job then, and I thought my life was over. And without sounding a total cliche, that was the start of everything else.
Totally.
So it's like you can never really fuck up, not unless you do something really bad,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Also, like, I feel like in most scenarios, like, the grass is always greener, So sometimes when we've been touring, like, so relentlessly this year. And it's amazing, obviously, because that's, like, we're working, right? Like, as musicians, that's kind of the dream. But there's definitely been some times, like, especially on this last tour, where we were just like, wow, like, and I think we'll all individually, like, think about this. We're just like, wow, what are we doing? Like, we're in a van 10 hours a day, like, playing the same set every night, sometimes to, like, not that many people. Like, it's a crazy vibe. And, like, sometimes, money is really not happening, so it's interesting to kind of have those moments of like, oh my God, like, what are we doing? But then, of course, the next day it's like, this is amazing. We get to do this.
Yeah.
We get to play music for all these people and make friends and whatever. So
for sure. Have you met any cool people? Have you met any people in bands that you listened to growing up, or people who have kind of made like an impact?
Yes, for sure. I mean, the biggest one that we always bring up is that we got to open for Dinosaur Jr. And that was crazy. Like, meeting the three of them was really amazing and surreal. And also, like, American football we played with a few times, and they're like just awesome and the sweetest people. I think there have been other people that we've met that have been
a lot of other tattooed dads.
Wait, what'd you say? Oh yeah, tattooed dads.
A lot of other tattooed dads.
Absolutely. That is the demographic.
It's a funny time to be like kind of a, I don't know what do you want to call it, but like post-hardcore emo kind of band now, because so many of the bands that people go nuts over released records in the 90s or maybe the early aughts, but then now there's kind of a cool influx in some good sounds. And it's kind of funny that there almost seems like a gap of age groups between there's like some really young people and some like 40 pluses.
No, totally. I mean, a lot of the American football crowd, like there's obviously a lot of like original fans too, but I think they have a really young fan base as well. So it's interesting to see like the generational gap where it's like all the people in the band like could probably be, fathers of a lot of their fans. Yeah. But it's like, it's awesome. Same with like Jay Mascis and stuff. Like, he could definitely be like friends with our parents,
That's funny. You got to get both crowds. Hello Mary are doing a job getting the both crowds. You got the older people who are buying the records.
Exactly.
And then you get the younger people who are posting you on TikTok.
That's the golden ticket right there.
I usually ask about big fuck-ups in the workplace, like sort of spilling coffee over people if you're working at a cafe or a restaurant. Do you have any particular memories that stand out of screwing the pooch at work?
I definitely do. Yeah, I used to work as a cocktail waitress at a cocktail bar. And I think on like my first or second shift, I like dumped a whole tray of beers on somebody. That was not fun, but they forgave me.
How'd you deal with that? It's just a lot of sorries.
I was just like, I'm so sorry. And then I got them like a whole new round of whatever.
Maybe they deserved it.
Maybe, honestly.
How about you, Mikaela or Helena?
Trying to think. I feel like if anything horrible happened, I probably would have blocked it out of my memory. But maybe one time I bar backed when Stella was you were either bartending or cocktail waitressing at
I was bartending.
You were bartending. And I thought I was doing a really good job, but I don't think I was. Because usually the bar backs are like really strong men who like you gotta, bar backing is just very intense. And I think I really did not do a job in retrospect. But the night, You
gotta try.
Yeah.
So there was Hello Mary here on 101 Part-Time Jobs. Their new record, Emita Ox, is out now, and it's all different kinds of worlds packed into one record. Go and listen to it. Thank you for being here. We're going to put out episodes across the holidays. Up until then, we've got, Medium Build, Cameron Winter from Geese, Nilofer Yanya, who put out one of this year's best records with My Method Actor, Barty Strange, Ashane White, and then going to next year, we've got Lambrini Girls, Franz Ferdinand, Mogwai, Big Pig, and loads more to come. So if you want to know about them when they come out, click subscribe. Cheers.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.